Hello, coin collectors out there. Welcome back to the Big D Coins channel. Hopefully, everyone is having a great day as always. In today's video, we are going to look at these quarters right here. Flip it over on its side for you to see. Very nice looking edge to the coin. And these quarters right here on the right. Now, you experienced coin collectors will know the difference between these coins, but for those not so experienced, the ones on the left, this set right here, are all pre-1965. These ones on the right are all 1965 or after. Now, the reason that is important is because the ones on the left have silver in them. The ones on the right do not have silver in them. So the ones on the left were made from 1932 up until 1964. They are 90% silver, 10% copper. They've got a weight of 6.25 grams. In today's video, we'll talk about the melt value of these coins as well as the production amount, the mintages of them. Now, the ones on the right, these all represent the copper nickel clad quarters. So I've got a couple of them on top that are dated 1965. So we see from 1 year to the next, the one on the right, that's the copper nickel clad one. That one has a metal composition of 91.67% copper, 8.33% nickel. It's got a lower weight to it because those two metal compositions are less than the silver. So it's got a weight of 5.67 grams. The melt value of this coin is just 3.7 cents. So the value of it is just, the 25 cents. You wouldn't bother melt it down because it'd be worth less than the face value of the coin. However, the same can't be said for this one right here on the left. The one on the left, because of its 90% silver, has a melt value of $3.08 based on today's silver prices. This one right here is going to be worth a lot more money. And what's cool is that you can go through boxes and boxes of quarters and do what people call coin roll hunting and go through regular quarters that you get from your bank at face value and try and pull out these silver coins, because then you can sell them for at least face value. So at least melt value, which would be $3. Build up a nice collection from all that time and you'll have a nice roll like this. You can tell by looking at the sides that these right here are silver. There's a little token right there that's in the middle. All right, now let's get into the mintages of these coins. I'm going to slide out the copper nickel clad ones and just make a little nice arrangement of these ones right here. The one on the left, that is the prior to Washington being on the quarter. We had this right here, the Standing Liberty quarter. So that's prior to 1932. Then from 1932 on until to date, we've had George Washington on the obverse of the coin. I'll get them arranged as far as dates so everyone can see the different dates. We've got a couple of 41s, a 56, 64, and another, switch these around, 56, 63, and then a 64. So the mintages of 1964, the mintages, that's the amount that were produced in that particular year. There are 560 million that were produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Those ones will not have a mint mark on them. And then there were 704 million of them produced at the Denver Mint. Now, what's interesting about these coins is that since they're pre-1965, they have the mint mark on the reverse of the coin. After 1965, they enacted a coin law that said all of the mint marks had to be on the obverse of the coin. So this one right here, it's got that Denver mint mark displayed very prominently right there. Now this one wasn't 1964, but I told you the 1964 mintages, so then we can compare that to the 1965, 66, 67, and show you the trend as far as the production amount of these coins. So we've got a nice comparison between a Denver mint right here, and these ones have no mint mark on them, so that indicates that they were made at the Philadelphia Mint. I'm going to flip over these ones as well, just so we can scope out if they've got a mint mark, so you can see various examples of what that Denver mint mark will look like. All right, so I mentioned that there are 560 million that were made at the Philadelphia Mint, 704 million were made at the Denver Mint. Does anyone want to take a guess at how many were made in 1965? There were over a billion that were made. So they took out the metal content in 1965. So they switched over to these ones right here. There are 1.8 billion of them that were made in 1965. Now, interestingly, these will not have a mint mark on them. We'll get into the reason for that a little bit later in the video, but I want to get you the other mintages as well. So in 65, 1.8 billion, 66, 821 million. Then we bump up back to 1.5 billion. Now, interestingly, that's actually higher than the amount of coins that were made for the bicentennial coins right here. Everyone assumes that these mintages right here were really high, but actually they were lower than the 1965. So in 1976, there were 809 million of these that were made at the Philadelphia Mint, 860 million that were made at the Denver Mint. Now here's a great example of the switching of the reverse side for the mint mark to the obverse side. Take a look at this one right here, which is dated pre-1965. We've got the mint mark on the reverse side of the coin. And then this one right here, which is the bicentennial coin. We've got that little blob of a D right there to represent the Denver Mint. Interestingly, the one on the left has a much clearer mint mark than the one on the right. So when they were making these in 1976, they stamped the mint mark differently. Then that was part of a different die than the rest of the design on the coin. So that's why you'll see a lot more irregularities on the mint marks compared to mint marks from the most recent few years. All right, that explains the difference between the mintages between these two coins. I also wanted to talk to you about this little neat thing that I've got right here, which is a United States Special Mint set. Now, the reason why they took the silver out of the coins was because the value of silver was drastically increasing, and people were hoarding those coins, kind of rightfully so. If you know that your quarter is worth actually more than a quarter, then why would you spend it for a quarter when you can just hold on to it? So that created an interesting situation where there was a coin shortage. And then for the years of 1965, 66, and 1965, 66, and 67, none of the coins that were made in those years had mint marks on them, because the mint also suspected that people were collecting coins based on the mint marks on them. Let me give you a little bit more background on that situation. This comes to you from an article on Spruce Crafts, which has some great kind of full-length articles that you can read about coin collecting and other different hobbies. So in 1964, the dime, quarter, and half dollar were all made out of 90% silver, which we've kind of discussed at length in this video. By 1965, the price of silver was increasing to the point that the silver contained in the coins was worth more than the face value of the coin. This led to everyday people hoarding silver coins, then selling them for the melted value of the coin. So the mint director at the time, Eva Adams, who was the director of the mint, blamed coin collectors on this shortage of coins. So what they did to kind of get back at those coin collectors and get the volume of actual coins that were floating around in circulation, they got rid of the proof sets that were made that year for 65, 66, and 67, and they only released special mint sets. And then after 1967, so starting in 1968, is when they moved the mint mark from the reverse side of the coin for the quarters up until the obverse side of the coin. Now let me, I'll show you kind of the full length right here. So this special mint set from 1966, we've got the half dollar, we've got the quarter, we've got the dime, and we have the nickel and the penny as well. So not only was there silver in the quarters prior to 1965, there was also silver in the dimes. Now we can apply the same test that we applied earlier for looking at the side of the coins to kind of determine which one has silver versus which one is the copper nickel clad. This is pretty obvious. So the copper nickel clad one, that's going to be the one that has the brown showing through on the top. The silver one is going to be this one right here. And that kind of pans out when we look at the dates on these coins. So we've got 1964 right here and 1969 on the left. There we go. We got a much better focus on this coin. Now, as far as the melt value of this coin is going to be worth more than face value because it's got that 90% silver. However, it's only got 2.5 grams as far as the total weight of the coin compared to the 6.25 grams of the silver quarter that we were talking about earlier. So this, with today's melt value of 90% silver, 10% copper, that has a melt value of $1.23 with today's current silver prices. And the silver prices haven't really fluctuated too much. They've been pretty low ever since they took a big dip around 2009. Now, as far as the design of these coins go, same design. They haven't changed the design on the Roosevelt dime since they started making them. That has kind of annoyed some coin collectors as they kind of want to see some cool designs. But nonetheless, this is what we have to work with. So we flip it over, same design on the reverse right here. This coin, it's rather worn out on the reverse, so it's not going to be worth getting graded. What you want to look at to determine if you could get your coin graded is if you've got details in the bands on the torch side of the reverse side of the coin. So this would not grade very highly, but you definitely still want to hang on to it based on its metal content. All right, everyone, hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. I'll do a quick recap. So in today's video, we talked about the mintages of the 1965, 66, and 67 quarters. We talked about the silver content of those coins. And we also talked about the silver content in the dime and the transition from the 90% silver to the coins that are being produced today, which are 91.67% copper, 8.33% nickel. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Please do check out some other videos on the channel. Thank you very much, and best of luck coin collecting out there. Enjoy.